This is the moment you've all been waiting for. The entire reason you're taking French is so that you can find out about this thing called the subjunctive. It's called the subjunctive. You've heard about it. You've seen movies about it. It's advertised on television. People are naming their babies after it. There are songs written about it. I mean, there have been for thousands of years songs about the subjunctive. I mean, Beagles even know how to use the subjunctive. That is how important the subjunctive is. So now you've got some notes on it provided by votre belle et aimable professeur de français, Madame Pittenger. Alors, le subjonctif. When to use the subjunctive? Well, it's used after expressions of doubt or wishes. An example of subjunctive being used after expressions of doubt or wishes. And can you write this example first? This is a simple question using near future tense. We've got aller plus infinitive here. This is not the subjunctive. Alors, nous allons boire du café au lait en classe. Write that in your notes. You're going to write it in here. Exemple, nous allons boire du café en classe. Actually, don't write it. I'm just going to leave it there. But you're going to have to write the subjunctive answer to the class, to this question. So here we have an expression of doubt, which I'm really just saying it is doubtful. So super obvious doubt. Il est douteux que nous allions boire du café en classe. So here is our example of a doubtful thing. Just leave that there. We will talk about how to conjugate the verbs in subjunctive later. In some cases, a clause introduced by que may or may not take place. We don't know if the thing's going to happen because we used something that caused doubt, like this, and it was followed by the word que. So the expression is être douteux que, and here we have non, il est douteux que. Keep in mind that there are plenty of cases where you cannot use the subjunctive after que. Like, there's still going to be things where you say, like, I think that the German teacher's name is Mrs. Goff, or I know that the AP Psych teacher's names are Mrs. Downey and Mr. Reichert. Those are expressions that have que. Donc, je sais que les profs de psychologie AP s'appellent Madame Downey et Monsieur Reichert, par exemple. Donc, je sais que. That doesn't seem like something that's doubtful, and in French it is not doubtful. Alors, par exemple, là, vous voyez, je sais que le frère de Maggie et Gyllenhaal s'appelle Jake. Je sais que. And here you see what looks like plain old present tense, which is really called present tense indicative. Nothing subjunctive, nothing special or doubtful. In English, the subjunctive sounds like, for example, it is necessary that he blank his homework every night. It's tricky here because you have heard this wrong on television, in the news, like on the radio. You've read it where people were saying it wrong, and you've heard it not done in the subjunctive, even though this in English, necessary that, should be followed by the subjunctive. Because you can still say it's necessary that you drive under 65 miles an hour on your way to IKEA, and you still might get a ticket on the way because you hit 70. So necessary that is talking about a doubtful thing or someone's wishes, like the state of Ohio wishes that, but it doesn't mean that it's a description of reality and that's what you're really doing. So the right way to do this, you see how there are two blanks? People are still going to understand you if you say it's necessary that he does, but grammatically necessary that he do his homework every night. And it is necessary that she... Doesn't look like drives will fit there. So can you fill those in? Why use the subjunctive? Because indicative, I am on time, is for talking about the real world. Subjunctive shows that this thing, being on time, is not necessarily happening. Just like back a second ago, it's necessary that you drive at or below 65 miles an hour. That's not necessarily what's going to happen when you're on your way to IKEA. You've probably all seen people pulled over, and you know, it can go ahead and be necessary all day long, and cops are going to be pulling people over right there in that corridor because it's necessary, but it is not reality, not what they're doing. Subjunctive shows that this thing being on time is not necessarily happening. It is necessary that I am is real. It's necessary that I be on time for school, or my first period class will eat my whiteboard crayons. Have you been in my first period class? How to form the subjunctive? Let's look at this question. Subjunctive, subjective. So many letters in common. So as for the rules about forming subjunctive of regular verbs, explain the rules here. I'm going to ask you to observe. This is here to give you a stem. So in words or with a drawing of showing something chopping, can you show how to form the stem of a regular verb in the subjunctive? You start with this thing and you chop something off. This is not subjunctive right here. Then we have to talk about our endings. So once you've formed the stem, which for this one would be AIM, this one would be AIGISS, and this would be REND. So like, act as in act upon, and run. This is a verb for making someone feel a certain way. You don't fare someone feel a certain way. Fare is like to create something, and you're not like creating, you're like changing someone's emotion. So if you say like, I made my mom happy when I brought her flowers for her birthday. That would be you're like rendering someone happy. So then this is our endings in the subjunctive. They put them in this flat line here, like, but normally, you know, I put them in the 3 and 3, so it's side by side. But so we have how to form the stem. Make sure you've got that in your notes, and the endings that you're going to add to the stem, like holy cow, we're chopping these endings off and adding these endings on. So ESE, subjunctive ending IONS. Over here they're showing you the present tense endings. So these should seem super familiar from like French 1. We saw them in French 2. So ESE, IONS, IEZ. These should also seem pretty familiar, but they don't usually go with these. It's this new tense, the subjunctive, which actually is not a tense. It's technically called a mood or a mode because it doesn't indicate time, but tense means time. We're not talking about a time when we use the subjunctive. IONS, IEZ, and then ENT. So EESE and ENT all seem like they go together, and IONS and IEZ seem like they go together, but now they are all subjunctive endings. And here's just another look at what it looks like in the subjunctive of a regular verb. There are, of course, the usual ones that are not regular, like to have, to be, to do, but good examples right here. I see EESE on the endings of the verbs on this side, and in the plural, IONS, IEZ, and then back to ENT. So you've seen this, you know, by this time hundreds of times. EESE, ENT. And then IONS, IEZ, you've seen far less, but still many times because it looks like something else. If you can hear Peanut whining in the background, I'm sorry, she's mad because I'm talking and I'm not talking to her. Okay, so you've got your notes plugged in here. Then I'm going to ask you to write these 3 sentences. I've got them started for you on your notes. Can you write Il est incertain que nous écoutions une histoire de Peanut. Il est incertain que nous écoutions une histoire de Peanut. Next one. Mes parents insistent pour que j'attache ma ceinture de sécurité. Mes parents insistent pour que j'attache ma ceinture de sécurité. Last one. Il n'est pas douteux que nous choisissions une chanson. Il n'est pas douteux que nous choisissions une chanson. In this space, I have a list of kind of the basic times when you need the subjunctive, and I'd like you to draw something that represents these things. Doubtful, and I want you to think about like what it feels like when something is doubtful or when you are doubtful, and try to represent that. Wishful, insistent, and then insistent. These are things that people feel. This one can be a person feeling doubtful or kind of a general doubt. Wishful is like a personal expression. Insistent is a personal expression. And this one doesn't have anything to do with what a certain person wants. It's like a legal requirement, or it's just universally required, like that, you know, I don't know, if you said something ridiculous like, it is necessary that you breathe, then, you know, that's like sort of the universe requiring it. It's just a physical necessity. So this can be a person or not. These two have to be like a person feeling it, and then the universe requiring. Good luck with that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you draw.